if I told you that you can own a house anywhere in Nigeria with a rent to own scheme where you don't have to put down 10%, 20%, 50%, whatever percent that any real estate company is asking you to pay? There's something here in Abuja. Somebody is going to buy you a house and you're going to rent that house until you're able to pay the entire money. Good news, right? I'm here with someone very, very special, and he's going to tell you exactly how you can achieve that. Mr. Rotimi Shitu, how is it possible that somebody can just rent a house anywhere in Nigeria until they're able to pay it to earn it?
Well, let me start by thanking you for bringing us on your show. Now, if you go outside the country, now most first-time home buyers are usually advised to do the rent to own
Okay.
scheme. Now, the advantage that the rent to own scheme has over conventional mortgage is that a prospective owner or buyer would rent a house, and while they are renting the house, you keep setting aside annual equity contribution, such that at the time that your rent is expiring or the lease period is expiring, you would have built up enough equity contribution to be able to own the house. And basically, that's what our Circles Fund is out to achieve with our rent to own scheme.
My name is Joyce Sim Bala, and you are with Mr. Rotimi Shitu. And he has this scheme he calls Circles Fund Me. Circles Fund Me is a scheme that helps you to rent a house until you are able to pay. And I know a lot of people will say, maybe he's going to be charging a lot of money. So can you just explain that?
Now, the name for Circles Fund was actually derived from an analogy that we try to use to explain what we are doing.
Okay.
What we are doing is a housing cooperative society that makes members to be able to put money together into a pool, and then the whole objective is for them to become house owners. Now, what we've been able to do, bearing in mind, if you look at what is currently obtainable in the country, you found out that the National Housing Fund seems to be the only housing fund that seems to be active.
Okay, I've seen quite a few.
Even at that, they are not doing so much. And then if you look at the housing gap in Nigeria, the deficit keep increasing every year. Now, the reasons behind this is just two. Okay. Now, the National Housing Fund cannot do more than 15 million naira mortgage. And then the truth of the matter is, in how many places today in Nigeria can we actually get houses for 15 million naira? Very few places. Now, the second thing again is that, yes, the National Housing Fund is trying, but then they can do much more. And then the alternative that we think from a private sector initiative that we think we can do is what has made us to come up with this model, the Circles Fund Me Rent to Own scheme. Now, for subscribers, they would come in saving just 20,000 naira monthly, and then paying a monthly service charge of between 1,500 naira and then 3,000, depending on how much they want to access from the scheme.
Okay.
Now, unlike the other rent to own scheme, for instance, the Lagos State government currently has a rent to own scheme. But then the disadvantage in most rent to own scheme, even if there is any, is that oftentimes you're forced to live in a part of society where you may not necessarily want to live. But because the project is sited in those
a particular
areas,
place, yeah,
you are forced to. And then we said, no, it's possible to do this, and then we are giving the subscribers an alternative or a flexibility for them to decide where they want to stay, and then look for their own houses, and then we will buy, and then they will rent. As they are renting every year, they will equally be setting aside money to be able to pay back over a period of time. Now, what we've been able to do for our rent to own scheme, we have 4 different packages.
Okay.
And then the 4 different packages that we have: the 5 years rent to own scheme, which implies that you will pay back the cost of buying the building over 5 years. We have the 10 years rent to own scheme. You pay back the cost of the building over 10 years. And then you have the 15, and then you have the 20 years rent to own.
Wow, up to 20 years.
Yes, up to 20 years. Now, what we've been able to do is this: when you are a subscriber and then you come in, what we expect you to do is, over a period of time, not less than 1 year, you build your first year equity contribution and then your first year rent. We had fixed the rent at 7%, fixed 7% annually. Okay. Now, let me use the 10 years rent to own scheme as an example, for instance. Okay. Let's assume a subscriber is coming in, and then the subscriber goes to look for the house. and then the subscriber knows that the house is sold for 10 million. We will buy the house as long as the person is a contributor on our scheme. What we expect the person to have in the first year, or to be able to build up in the first year, is to be able to build the first year rent. We've said rent is at 7%. So we expect the person to have 700,000 naira rent set aside within the time that the person joined, and then the first 1 year. Now, because it's a 10 years rent to own scheme, what you're telling us is that if I rent this house, or I am renting this house rather, over the next 10 years, I will return the cost of buying the house interest free. And then we said, oh, if you're going to pay back the cost of renting the house over 10 years, just divide the 10 million naira by 10 years, and then aside your annual rent, you will equally save 1 million naira with us every year. Now, by the expiration of your rents, after the 10 years, you're not in default of rent, and then you have equally given us you have returned back through your yearly equity contribution. The 10 million naira was originally used in buying the house. The house becomes yours.
Yours.
Now, the advantage this has over conventional, or the advantage that the rent to own scheme has over the conventional mortgage, is in the event that there is default. Let's assume maybe after the 5th year, the subscriber decides and says, I don't want this part of town again, I'm not even interested in this scheme again. Now, after the 5th year, you've been saving 1 million naira equity contribution every year. Well, as long as you're not in default of rent, your equity contribution will be returned to you. Because you had plans of buying the house, now you are saying you don't want to buy again, we'll refund the money to you. Now, unlike a conventional mortgage, if you set aside with 10 or 20% equity contribution, and then there is default maybe by the 5th or the 6th year, you're not able to pay again, and then the owners or the mortgage bank decides to go to court. If they repossess the house from you, you're going to lose your initial down payment, the equity contribution that has been done.
So this is one of the advantages
key advantage
that this has over going to using the bank for this case. Okay.
Now, the second advantage that the rent to own scheme, or the Circles for Me rent to own scheme, has over conventional mortgage is that, for instance, for tenants, it's almost impossible for you to be able to keep rent at a fixed rate in any part of Nigeria for 10 years. Now, when you're a subscriber and then we are buying you a house, you've been able to arrest rents at a fixed rate over 10, 15, 20 years. Now, for tenants, particularly in Abuja, Port Harcourt, and Lagos, it would almost be impossible for you to be able to keep rent at the same rate, maybe for 3, 4, 5 years. And then this is another advantage that tenants would enjoy by becoming subscribers on our platform.
Wow. So what other things? I can see that but you guys still have you have monthly service charge, you have and all of that. So what will it be like? The monthly service charge?
Yeah, the monthly service charge. The one, for those who use current account, they understand that there's usually a service charge that the bank charges for rendering services. And then for people who equally are on our platform, they should know that we incur cost. And then the monthly service charge is what we use in running the scheme.
How much is it like?
We've said it can be between 1,500 and then 3,000 naira monthly, depending
between 1,500 to 3,000. So it's quite affordable.
Depending on the amount of money that the person is trying to access. The platform.
Okay. So if you say the person is trying to access, are you going to if somebody wants to take a loan cash, do you give cash?
No, we don't.
So it's just
more like an asset-based
financing. So it's just the houses.
Finance, and then we do real estate.
Oh, and real estate financing. So who can join this?
Almost every Nigerian that is above 18 years of age, and then that is actively engaged.
When you say actively engaged, what do you mean?
For anybody who can set aside 20,000 naira, because for you to be a member on the platform, you must be able to save to average 20,000 naira monthly, and then with the service charge, if that comes to average about 22,000 naira monthly.
Okay, so what kind of background check do you do on people? Because sometimes people will come and they have a job, and tomorrow the job is no longer there. So what happens to them?
Now, what we do is basically we try as much as possible to be sure that we don't have default cases on the platform.
Okay.
Now, that's really one very crucial thing that we take into cognizance before giving, because it's not just about your ability of paying the first year rent or the first year equity contribution. We must be sure that you have the capacity to sustain subsequent year rent. And
Yes.
then what we do is to look at your financials in the last 3 years
Okay.
and then see that what we'll be asking you to pay in terms of rent and then your actual equity contribution is not more than 30% of your earning. It's called debt to
Yeah,
income
yeah, yeah.
ratio. So once we're able to establish the fact that what you earn or what you'll be paying us is not more than 30% of what you're earning, and then that has been consistent in the last 3 years. Remember, we said it's a rent to own scheme.
Yeah.
So which means if there is default in the event that you lose your job, you what you just do is you seek for a refund of what you have saved
Contributed over
towards
time.
acquiring the house, and in that case you can give up the house. However, we have a credit, we have what is called credit life insurance for those who lose their life. Even if you sign up today and then we have
Today.
assigned the house today, if you lose your life for any reason on account of debt, the leadway insurance will pay the outstanding balance on the house. No house is not going to be recovered or repossessed on account of debt.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yes.
Oh, that's really, really nice. So, another thing is, it's more like a hire purchase kind of system, is it?
Yes, it is, but then in real estate, it's called a rent to
A
own.
rent to own, yes.
Yes.
So, but
While
I,
you are
but when you
tenants,
started
you
your,
enjoy the benefit of being a landlord.
but you guys had like vehicles
Yes,
before,
we equally do auto finance.
auto financing. So how does that work?
Well, maybe I should even tell you the story about the auto financing scheme.
Okay.
I came from a family where we have 30 years experience of running a family, a very successful family or hire purchase business that started in Kaduna and then up till 1983 before I lost my dad. And then it's always been in my blood. I need to go back to this to affect the larger part of our society. Now, what we equally found out, just like we have a huge gap in the housing deficit, we equally realized too that if you look at owning a vehicle in Nigeria, most people, particularly maybe even across Africa, sometimes people see vehicle as a luxury, whereas the vehicle is actually supposed to be a necessity. Almost every family is supposed to own a vehicle.
A vehicle.
Now, I remember I was looking at the recent research, and then one of the report on the research is that across the US in 2019, 17 million vehicles were sold in 1 year. And then about 90% of those cars, those vehicles were actually financed.
Okay.
Now, across Africa in the same period, less than 700,000 vehicles were sold. And then we found out that people bought cash down
We buy cash.
because of the fact that there are no viable asset financing companies. And then even if there are, you found out that because of the fact that the cost of fund in Nigeria is quite very high, and then across Africa because it's almost the same thing. In fact, like Nigeria dictates what happens in finance in Africa. So you found out that the interest rate is there, single double digits. Now, what Circles Fund Me is trying to do is to say that this thing happens elsewhere. It can also happen in Nigeria. Now, for our auto finance scheme, the financing will be coming at single digit. For instance, in the Circles from Interest auto finance scheme, we have two packages that we run.
Okay.
We have the gold package, and then we have the flexible package.
That's for the car.
Yes, for the car, for the auto financing scheme. And then from the gold package, what we expect the participants or the subscribers to the scheme to do is over a period not less than 6 months, they will set aside 20% of the cost of the vehicle. Though the cost of the vehicle to us is not just the open market price of the vehicle, because the vehicles will be insured by Leadway Insurance. So we'll equally add the cost of insurance to the cost when we are checking the cost. Now, our platform does not charge interest. It's supposed to be an interest-free platform. But then when sometimes I say it's interest-free, even in Freetown,
there's no free meal.
And so there are associated costs that the company incur. And so what we charge is what is called the loan management fees. Now, for the gold package, there is a 7% annual loan management fees that the platform charges from subscribers. And when you compare this against the backdrop that in banks, they charge as much as 24%, you can see that there's a whole lot of savings for subscribers. And then on the flexible package, you have 10% annual loan management fees. The insurance cost still remains the same. So these three costs are what we add up together to make up the cost of a vehicle. And when the subscribers, as they are creating their account on our platform, you'd have seen what the 20% expected expected down
Expected
payment
down
is supposed to
payment.
be. You'd have equally seen if you're doing for the flexible, you'd have seen what the 10% is supposed to be. Now, once you know what this 10% is going to be, by the time we add up this cost, the platform naturally deducts the down payment
Down payment.
from these three costs and then shows you what you will be paying back even after the loan had been approved. Now, for foreign use vehicles that are financed on our platform, the repayment can be spread over 4 years,
Okay.
while for new vehicles, it can be spread over 6 years.
Yes. Oh,
The vehicles are insured by Midway Insurance, and then all the participants, their health are insured, and then their lives are insured too.
wow. So all of this monies that we're talking about,
Yeah.
is it going to be deducted directly from their accounts, or they will come? They will have to come pay it in person.
Now, for some civil servants, all they need to do is we already have ongoing discussion with the Accountant General's office.
Okay.
And then for those that are on the IIPPIS platform, the deductions can be made directly from their salaries.
Okay.
We're equally discussing with some state government currently and then some organizations which has a means of deducting money directly from their from their staff salaries. So for those type of people, once we have an MOU with the organization, the deductions is done directly at source from salaries. While for independent people, private people, they will go into our, they will go from wherever they are in Nigeria, they will just pay into our accounts. And then because the vehicles are comprehensively insured and then they are tracked, they can participate from anywhere. You just send the payment. As long as they are not in default, they're not likely to come after the vehicle. It's only when they're in default that we're likely to come after the vehicle.
Come after the vehicle. And so what happens in the case of sometimes things happen, accidents, they steal the vehicle. That's the insurance is there, but how do you check?
Insurance. No, the insurance people and then Leadway Assurance is actually an active partner to help us secure these vehicles. And then because they are risk experts and then that's what they do, we would insure the vehicles with them. I had been insuring with them for more than 10 years. My late dad used to insure with them as far back as 1983 when he was still alive. And then we knew that our vehicles that were usually sold on hire purchase, they were usually comprehensively insured. So I do not see any problem. As soon as people have an issue, they will report to us and then we'll report to Leadway Insurance and then they will do their work. And then once they've done their work, Leadway Insurance doesn't take more than 5 days for them to settle claim. So, and that's why we're actually relying on them.
Okay.
Yes.
So what platforms can people find you if they want to come on board?
Yes, if they can go to our website. Currently, we are an asset-based platform, but then I'm sure before the end of March, our apps will be on App Store, and then they can equally download the app. Play Store, and then download the app, and then create their membership account, and then.
And since most there are apps that can deduct savings app that can deduct money directly from your account.
No, what
are you going to do that?
Yes, if they connect the account, it's like giving your bank a standing order. And then
okay.
once they give this standing order to their banks, at the end of every month, the bank will remit directly into our account. And then all through the loan period, even by the time they access the loan.
Okay, that's interesting. Is there any other thing that we're leaving out?
Well, except that we are appealing that what is obtained outside the country, that others too should embrace it. Yes, I've heard a number of people say, oh, maybe it's a scam and all the rest of it, but then I want to say this is a platform that has been well designed and then that we're sure that would outlive us.
Okay, so you have heard it from Mr. Rotimi Shitu himself. If you want to buy a car, you don't have the complete money, you want to buy a house, and you have what it takes. You are earning, you're working, you have money, you have what it takes. I'm telling you, this is the time. If you, don't rely. For me, I would say they should not rely on just the percentage they have to put. If you have more than that, if you have up to 50%, so that you can pay.
Yeah, that's why
quickly and own. Yes, minimum monthly savings. So for me, I feel some of you even have 50% of what you need to pay for that house that you want to live in, but you just have other things that you are dealing with. Please, this is an opportunity. So if you love real estate and you want to earn, you want to buy your own house, so instead of paying your that's landlord that you're paying 1.5, 2 million, 3 million yearly, I think that you should sack him so that you go and find a house of your choice. Mr. Rotimi will buy the house and you will pay rent until you own the house. So it's been nice talking to you, Mr.
Thank you
Rotimi.
very
So
much,
here on
Joyce.
this channel, we're just going to be talking about everything real estate, and we're going to be bringing to you all the juice, all the tea, and all the scoop about what's going on in the real estate industry and how you can own real estate, a piece of real estate. And you know, that's the only thing that does not depreciate. You cannot take away the land. You can't carry it on your head. So whatever happens to it, it's still there, and it increases in value every now and then. So see you next time, and God bless you.